everyone. This is episode 8 of Breaking the Guard. We have a very special guest here, Mikey Musumeci, baddest guy in the lightweight division in the BJJ world. Mikey, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you know, I think you're one of the American world champions. We got Rob being the second one, so it's pretty cool that both of you guys are there. Now, I'm American myself, so represent, right? But I wanted to start off with you because you're a lightweight. I know going into the martial arts, usually there's a reason that you jumped into it. I know, like for myself, with self-defense purposes, I was getting bullied in school and stuff like that, and I saw a lot of stuff. So I'm just wondering, like, your origin story, so to speak, like how you got into the martial arts.
Yeah, so my dad always loved like MMA and UFC, and since I could crawl, I was watching UFC.
Oh, nice.
So my dad liked training Muay Thai, and there was a local like MMA Jiu Jitsu gym by my house, and I was about 4 years old, and
Oh wow, you started really early.
Yeah, so I've been training since I could walk.
That is badass. See, that's like this next generation. Because how old are you, Mikey?
I'm right now 23.
Yeah, man, you're super young. So yeah, like you're the future, right? Like when I started at 15, I think, and I always thought to myself, man, I wish I could have started younger. Yeah. And
here's the thing about starting young, and we and David touched on this briefly a while ago, is that everyone thinks, oh, start your kids young, that's the best. And I think for a school, for life, I think it's important to have them BJJ or in sports in general. But as far as coming out like crafting a world champion, I think the reason why you started at 4 and you went on with it, and you're going to be in this for the rest of your life, most likely, is because deep down in there, that's who you are. Like, you know, I think that a lot of people start training as teenagers and then they stick to it because at that age, you kind of like, you're there because you want to be there.
But when you're forced to be there, you don't.
Exactly. As you're a child, you're there because your parents are, you know.
But my parents never forced me. I think that's why I actually stuck to it.
Yeah, it's exactly like you wanted to be there.
It was fun for me, and but I would also agree with what you said. That I think you said it that I didn't really start like thinking about being a world champion or anything until I was about 10, 11. You know, just those early years were like a hobby for me. But I feel like this training, since I'm so young, my body got molded with jiu-jitsu. Like, my body just moves in, like, from jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean? Like, just all those years, your body just is deformed almost.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Hey, you're making all these adaptations
for
jiu-jitsu because you've been doing it for so long. Yeah, absolutely.
So, like, your first art was jiu-jitsu then?
That's it.
Okay.
You've never been in other sports?
I used to play baseball outside with friends, and that's pretty much it.
So there's been jiu-jitsu the whole way through. And like, I'm just curious because my brother, he's got 3 kids, and he's having a little bit of that struggle to get them in, but at the same time, he's trying to do that balance where he doesn't want to force them to do it. Yeah. But then he's trying to dangle the fruit to get them in there. So lately, what he's been doing, he's been putting them to watch martial art movies. So he's got them on the Karate Kid, Ninja Turtles, and now like every time they watch it, like, oh, I want to do more training.
Yeah, there we go. It's a good
so
one.
He's trying to play. So I'm curious, like, how did your parents
they didn't
put you in position?
So again, like, so when I trained in New Jersey, I had a friend, like my best friend that I went to school with, trained also. So it was more of like a hobby with my friends. So I think that's what kept me in it. I feel like if you don't have your friends don't train, like,
it's hard to stay.
It's going to be hard to stay.
Yeah, that's why like, if you create those bonds inside the gym, going to the gym is easy.
Then it can make it easy. Yeah, exactly.
Is, you know, like, you want to go to the gym just to see your friends.
It's a form of socialization as well as training.
Yeah. I think that's I always say this. I think that's the main reason why people are so drawn to this is because it creates a lot of these social networks and bonds that really people want to come back. Not just that the art is incredible, but it's a fun place. The gym is a fun place to go to.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you go to the gym, you should feel like, oh, I can't wait, like, to train. And, like, when the time is done, you should be like, oh, man, now I got to go home. Yeah. It shouldn't be like when you get to the gym, oh, man, I have an hour of training. This sucks, right?
Yeah,
it's not a workout. It
doesn't feel like that. It doesn't feel like a workout. It's like part of your day. It's, you know, it's something
it's an enjoyment of your,
exactly.
Yes.
I think it was like kind of what Felipe Pena was talking about when he did his interview, where when he had people he was excited to train with the night before, oh, I can't wait for the guy to come. I want him to come so I can train. Like that's how it should be, right? Where you're excited to show up to training.
Exactly.
So Mikey, you've been in the gym. So you're 23 now. You've been training before. So 19 years, a long time.
19.
How do you feel as far as mentally and physically? As in, like, does jiu-jitsu still mean to you? I mean, you mentioned at 11, 12, you wanted to be a world champ. So something changed.
Yes.
Right? Is that so the 11, 12-year-old Mikey is different from the 9-year-old Mikey. how does the 23-year-old Mikey feel about jiu-jitsu today mentally and physically? I want to hear both sides.
Okay, so it took me a while. Like when I first won the Black Belt Worlds the first time, I almost quit jiu-jitsu because I felt like I was just, my whole goal was just to win Black Belt Worlds. And I hated training. I had the mindset where I was focused on a goal instead of I had the wrong reasons I was training. I was training to try to win something instead of training for the lifestyle, training to enjoy training, like when I was a kid. When I was a kid, my favorite thing in the world was just to watch videos, and I had a stuffed animal in my room, and I would drill on the stuffed animal moves because I was just so excited to train.
That's amazing.
You know, I was already obsessed.
I would pay to see that. I want to see you drill it. Exactly. You have pictures of you drilling the bear.
I might.
That's awesome.
It was this long dog stuffed animal that was bigger than me because I was so small, and I was just trying to like do things. Trying to drill X guard, trying to drill.
It's incredible. It's got to be the greatest sport of jiu-jitsu ever. Drilling with a teddy bear.
But that's awesome that what you mentioned, because me and Robert actually were just talking about this the other day, which is that when you set your goals and you accomplish them, there is sometimes a crisis point. Like, what do you do?
Because your goal shouldn't be a goal. That's what I had to learn the hard way. I feel like in life, the best way to learn things is making mistakes. Yeah. And I really had the wrong mindset when I won Worlds the first time. And it was just because since I was like 14, 15, in my mind, I was always like, okay, if I win Black Belt Worlds, I'll be happy. So then I won Blue Belt. Every year I won the Worlds consecutively. 2016 only no gi, but then 17, 18, 19 all gi. And every year I won the Worlds in Blue Belt. I was like, okay, the next year I won Blue Belt Worlds. Okay, Purple Belt. I didn't feel anything, but I was like, okay, when I get the Black Belt, I'm going to be happy. So then I won Purple Belt Worlds, and then I got my Brown Belt on the podium. Okay, now I'm going to be happy when I win Black Belt Worlds. Next year, Brown Belt, Black Belt on the podium. Then when I won Black Belt Worlds, I felt nothing. And I was just like, man, like, this is what I built up in my mind so much that was going to change my life. Like, I'm going to feel so much different.
So 2 questions now. What's the next goal? Because you've achieved your main goal of being a Black Belt World Champion. And then I'm going to follow that up with another question. Because I think I want to try to get to something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so my next goal, I really don't live life with goals anymore. I have, obviously, every day I'm going 100% effort. And I feel like every opportunity that happens is going to happen, and I'm not going to know exactly. I can't control the opportunities that are going to happen, but they're just going to come. Yeah. That's why I've noticed how life is now. I keep seeing it over and over. Everything that happens to me, it just happens. And I can't overthink the future.
Living in the moment.
Yes, living in the moment. Obviously, I'm super neurotic and OCD and obsessive. Like, it's really hard for me to live in the moment. But I'm at the point where I could accept that, where I just have to work hard every day. And I think that one thing I think as a goal of mine in competition today is just to show, like, a respectful side of jiu-jitsu and show, like, not all the Black Belt World Champions have to like open their gi, their chest, and like be, you know what I mean? Like I feel like why does a medal give someone the right to like have the act above other people and just act like it? You know what I mean?
This is a wise man. You're too smart for your age, man. There's too much wisdom here. I'm serious. Everything you're saying makes perfect sense. I agree with you.
We've talked about these similar things all the time. But what's interesting what you said, because you've been training. You're very young. You're 23. But you've been training for 19 years.
I'm like old, but I'm young. You know what I mean?
Because you've trained for so long. Like I consider myself been in the game a long time, but I'm 24 years, so I'm not that much ahead of you. But the lessons that you learn on the mat are very deep lessons that transcend. So it's showing your wisdom, like just the fact that you've learned from an early age that achieving your goal is not the end of all things, right? Like we talk about this, like it's.
And people live their life not knowing that.
Yes, because most people never reach their goals, and they think, oh, my life sucked because I didn't reach the goal. Like, no, you can get it. Like Rob has said the same thing. He won the absolute. Okay, now what? Like, if you're hungry, you're gonna still be hungry when you've had that one meal.
And people skip that, man. Like, this is why I wanted to follow this theme up. It's like, I'm so glad you said, because that's exactly the answer I was trying to get out of you. Like, I think this is what Mac is gonna say. But you said something, I can live with that. Like, I can accept it. And to me, that shows so much wisdom, because their ambition is a thing that is infinite. You know this perfectly well. There's no such thing as you can win 15 Black Belt World titles, Mike, and I guarantee you're going to feel the exact same way you feel now. It's not going to change. You're going to feel happy and content for the day. But if I think I know you well enough to go, it's going to last about 24 hours. You're going to be in the clouds.
And then the next day.
And then the next day you're like, what's next? So here's my question to you. What is happiness to you? Like where's Mikey's happiness in jiu-jitsu? Like is there an end to like, okay, this is the ultimate.
So when I almost stopped training, like when I won worlds and I almost quit jiu-jitsu because I just hated training, I went back to myself and I was like, why did I like jiu-jitsu? Yeah. And I tried to become the kid again that I was, like drilling with a stuffed animal, like excited to just learn and excited to just figure out new positions. So happiness for me is going to the gym, training and figuring out new positions and just drilling. And I don't really, the goal, winning worlds is always my goal, of course. But how I see winning worlds now is just showing me that the positions that I'm practicing and training, that I'm on the right track with them, that I have answers to all my opponent's reactions. Yeah. Because that's essentially what jiu-jitsu is, right? We have our position, they have their reaction to our position. Yeah. If we have an answer to their reaction, our position should work. Yes. If we don't have an answer to their reaction, that means that our position's flawed. Yes. And we have to figure out an answer to their reaction. And
there's a way out.
Yes. That's the only thing I enjoy about competing is that.
And it's a more noble and it's a more realistic goal too, because winning worlds is not fulfilling. Like I said, it's fulfilling for the moment. But what you're describing is infinite. You can be 80 years old and you're still good. And let's say you could be on the mats when you're 80. Let's say you had the health to do that, right? You would still be discovering things.
Yep, exactly.
And it's an infinite goal. And then when you have a goal,
that's the fun with
yeah, exactly. Like it's like the finish line keeps moving. I think that's really where happiness lies. You have meaning, you have an objective, but you never quite really get to it. Like it's always like it's the chase that makes you happy. Yeah, that's for me. Like my happiest days in jiu-jitsu were dreaming about achieving things, was working to achieve things, not the achievement itself.
Exactly. The process.
The process of
is the best part of it.
Yeah, because I could just buy a medal online.
Yeah.
And I could tell everybody, hey, I won this, and most people wouldn't know. That doesn't bring any real satisfaction, though. You know, it's like you said, it's the adversity you have to overcome that makes that journey. And
like what you just said, like you could tell people that you won the medal. Like also, like what I've learned is not really caring what other people view you as, or like see, like you have to have self-happiness in yourself, right? Yeah. Yes. You're not winning a medal to make people like you or to see you differently, because the people that see you differently because of a medal aren't people you want in your life.
Correct.
Like if you lose a competition, if you had friends before and then you lost, would you want someone in your life that is different toward you? And you win or lose?
I'm so happy that you see that, because most people your age would not be able to say like this. I learned this lesson very late in life. Like at 23, I was not thinking like you know. So I'm happy you have that mindset, because it's so true. Like I imagine like you know this now. You're top of the world. You're winning everything. You got a lot of people around you. Like who's your friend?
Exactly.
It's hard.
100%.
And it gets harder and harder. As the more successful you become,
the harder it becomes.
Because people are incredibly good at pretending. You know, you don't know who's
the more fake they are.
Yeah. So the advice always goes like the people who are there for you before are the ones that are still going to be there after. Yeah, they're the ones that are always going to be there. So.
No, but it's like you said, you have an incredible insight for someone who's so young, because it's true. If you're not self-actualized, self-motivated, and your happiness doesn't come from within, you'll never find ways to fill that gap.
No matter what you do.
No matter what you do. And
something that I've also learned, like as I've gotten a little older, is you don't learn that much from people. You learn more, like you don't learn that much from people what to do. You learn more from people what not to do and how not to behave.
I call that a negative lesson.
But I feel like I've learned more negative lessons in my life than positive, and I feel like we could we as people learn more as negative lessons.
Yeah. Well, it's like when you discover a new sweep, Mikey, you didn't discover the first sweep. You really discover 1,000 other ways of not doing that sweep.
Exactly.
That's what training is about, is discovering the ways of not to do it until like the correct answer pops
There's two ways of viewing a position, like what you just said, the interpretation.
Yeah. Really, that's like I enjoyed that process.
It's
like,
so interesting.
Me and Dave always like talk about like, I mean, I'm of a generation like we didn't have YouTube to learn. Like we'd go to tournaments, we'd watch it.
Maybe a magazine,
and
right?
go to the gym and try to figure out chest tapes and try to figure it out. And it's like, oh, that's so much harder, true. But it was fun. Like you had to figure things out. Like when it's like fed to you,
that's what
it's not as fun. It's like, okay, that's a new position. I don't know. It's not the same. It's just not. It doesn't seem as special as discovering for yourself.
Something interesting that, like what you just said, that's interesting is I really don't like to watch that much jiu-jitsu anymore. I like to learn new positions because I feel like it stops me from figuring stuff out like on my own. Yeah. I feel like that stops your innovations when you're watching videos of positions.
Then you're copying.
Yeah, instead of you using your body and your body doing a position, then you figure it out by your body doing it, right? In the subconscious.
Yes, and I think that at least, I mean, for myself, most of my leaps in jiu-jitsu came from me discovering things on the mats myself. I'll see something, I can watch you do something on a video and I go, oh, that's great. But that doesn't mean I'm really going to learn that move. I don't feel like I learned that way. I learned by being on the mats and making those mistakes. And that's exactly what you're describing. Like, not only do I enjoy that process, I feel that's how I learn. I do get ideas from it. Don't get me wrong.
You're not a mimicker.
But like it's like when I go for like if I see a video, like I have an idea. I never thought about that grip, for example. But I have a harder time assimilating that position in my game than I do if I'm actually on the mats just failing all the time.
It's funny because whenever I learn a new position, like I'm the slowest learner out of everyone that I learn with. It's because I can't mimic a move without. I have to when I learn a move, I have to understand every part of the body and why I'm doing this move and everything about the move for me to do the move. So I learn really, really slow. Yeah. But when I learn the move, I learn it better than everyone that I learned it with because I understand every reason why I'm doing the move and the whole process of the move.
You learn it on the practical level.
Yes.
Yes.
And then I don't even try to replicate the move. I just try to incorporate it into how I could use it in my jiu-jitsu.
Got it. You did bring a good point that I liked, which was that people who tend to mimic others or copy and watch YouTube videos, they lose a little bit of the creative process themselves.
I feel like the people that can do that as well are the more athletic type, right? Yeah. I'm the worst athlete ever. I have no athletic ability.
I'm not trying to believe you.
Oh my God, I'm so bad as an athlete. Any sport I did, I'm horrible. So jiu-jitsu for some reason works for me, but I feel like those people that are super athletic, right? You could just bring them in the gym and just teach them Toriando.
I know, yeah.
Oh, grab the legs, throw them,
and
then they can go to tournaments and just do it.
Yes, yeah. Normally the ones that don't care about it either.
Right?
Yeah.
And but like me, like we have to understand every position, like a grip. We have to understand like the exact angle of the grip on the knee and understand like when this leg is strong, the other leg is weak, and all the correlations just to do the same position that they did.
So let me ask you this, Mikey. What is it that makes you unique? Because everyone who knows you knows you're a unique guy in a lot of ways. Like not only because of your mindset, like how well you've won everything you've ever competed, pretty much. Like you very rarely lose, right? When was the last time you lost?
The last time I lost was 2017 Pan Ams.
Who'd you lose to?
I lost ref decision to a guy named Kleber.
Okay.
It was like I don't.
Was it black belt?
It was black belt.
Yeah.
It was before I won the Worlds.
Okay. So you don't lose before that, probably years without lose. I never seen you lose. Like I've been following you since you were purple belt. I've never seen you lose purple brown.
I never lost a fight in purple or brown or blue belt juvenile.
So my question is, I'm sure Dave and everyone else wants to know this. What is the key ingredient? Because there's a number of ingredients in this equation. This is not a one thing like he drills all day or he's gifted or there's a lot of things going on here. If you had to pick like what is the cornerstone that makes Mikey?
Okay, so something that I learned from a young age is that you can't look to your coach to make you a world champion. Everyone wants their coach to say, make me a world champion. And then if they don't win, they blame their coach, right? Oh, they didn't do this for me, they didn't do that for me.
You're absolutely right, man.
So what you learn is...
And you're not even a coach yet. You're seeing this already.
You're your own coach.
Yeah.
And your coach supplements your game. Your coach is just a supplement to your game, but you have to be in control of yourself. And you don't look to other people to make you who you are. You have to work in yourself to get to where you are, And that's the biggest thing.
It's accountability. We were just talking about that the other day. Accountability. Because I always say this because I've gotten that a lot. Everyone has dealt with this. People who lose, they blame the ref.
They blame their coach.
The rules,
oh, I'm not training
the coach,
good. It's their fault.
The training partners, the girlfriend, the weather, the slippery mats. Everyone is to blame.
But that's the losing mentality because in their minds they look for an excuse instead of like thinking in their mind, wait a second, there is no excuses. I have to fix everything I'm doing and then I'll improve.
So I'm so glad you said that because it's how I always felt about it. I think that everything you do, all these ingredients are important. Like you're not, you may not be the most athletic guy, but like I'm pretty sure you got to be. I mean, at least your flexibility and your mobility is ridiculous.
I have from Jiu Jitsu my whole life. I have that deformed body from Jiu Jitsu.
But you, but you have like all these ingredients. But I truly believe that the key ingredient for success in about anything you do in life, not just Jiu Jitsu, is exactly that: is accountability.
Accountability.
You blame yourself, and it's a hard thing to do. It sucks blaming yourself,
but only 0.001% could do that.
Yeah, it's a hard thing to do because it's like, it's my fault. Like, even, and I try to apply this in my personal life sometimes. Like, if bad stuff happened around me, I always go back to myself and go, how could I have fixed that 2 years ago? Like, what did I do that because if I'm here, I'm largely responsible for that. Like, what could I have done different? What can I do different in the future? So I think that's absolutely the right mindset, man.
Yeah, and like you said, it's difficult because it's a battle of the ego, right? Nobody likes to accept the blame on themselves because then it's like, that means if it was my fault, that means I could have fixed this X amount of years ago. That's a lot to swallow. So most people are like, you know what? I'm going to blame so-and-so or this.
Well, the biggest flaw in humans is what? Ego. The biggest flaw in humans, Everyone's so afraid, like everyone's ego is just so big. Even in old times, like Napoleon, right, invading Russia, like in winter, and then Hitler tries to do the same thing as Napoleon.
Same mistake.
I love history, so
opens a second front. I know. You're exactly right. It's because you're overconfident.
But their ego's so high that they can't rationally think in their mind.
It clouds their judgment. Yeah.
And that's a flaw in humans, I believe, is ego. And the more we could see, okay, we have ego and how to level ourselves, like we could become way more productive as people.
So, and answer this then, Mikey. Like when we talk about ego, we and Dave had this conversation because the word ego is a word. I wish we had two words to describe ego because to me the ego you're describing is a bad ego, the one that makes you overconfident, blame the world. If you beat me in practice, I'm mad at you, not at myself.
Yes.
But then there's this other ego
that is internalized.
That makes you a champion. Like I've heard, I think Frank Carreri told me this story. There's a boxing coach. I can't remember his name. A very successful boxing coach. And they ask him, like, he's trained a lot of successful boxers, and he goes like this: what is the key ingredient that a fighter needs, right, to be? And he goes like, ego. And I think he's talking about the positive ego, that it goes, I refuse to lose.
The obsessive, obsessive nature that you go back to the gym every day and work hard when you're tired, when you don't feel good, when you don't. That's another type of ego.
Yeah, but like it's the ego that you're angry at yourself for not being better. Like someone passes your guard, and you go home and you're livid, and you can't. I mean, sometimes I'd lose in practice and I couldn't sleep at night. Like, and I think that's an ego that if you channel that in a positive way,
then it could be amazing.
It's a catapult, And
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I mean, in general, like all these emotions that you have,
there's a good and bad to every emotion.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and if you don't learn how to channel it properly, like you were saying, then it could be a driving force. Like
balance.
Yeah. So, like, I think it's important to use those emotions wisely in ways that are going to push you into action that's going to favor you in achieving your goal. Sometimes people have emotions that are deconstructive, like binge eating, or, people start smashing stuff when they get angry. That's not constructive, So, but I think that's just part of being emotionally mature, learning how to... Yeah, because most people think emotions are not controllable, and I disagree with that. I believe...
They are completely controllable. Yeah. I know this because this year when I cut to rooster weight, it was crazy, the cut at the end. I cut my hair at the end.
I remember. I saw you struggling.
So at the end, I was in a lot of pain. But what I've learned about pain is that it's there, and you don't touch. Like you just let it sit. If you try to fight the pain, you build it. It takes so much more out of you, the pain. But if you just let it sit and you don't touch it, and you just stare at it, and you say, okay, the pain's sitting right here, and you don't touch it. You could just, it's just a feeling. Like, it's irrelevant, like the feeling of pain.
It's amazing that you see, like you're able to, like, remove something that would normally corrode someone.
You're able to just stare at it.
But when you're staring at it, notice what you're doing. You're actually removing an incredibly negative feeling that normally permeates every cell, everyone's body, and they're not able to think because of pain or anger. What you're doing, Mikey.
Because they make it so big.
You're pushing it aside. It's outside of yourself, of your ultimate goal, which is like, I got to win this fight. And you're just like, you happen to be here. That's that. Let's get on with work. You don't let it destroy you. Yeah.
That's what I've learned, like, recently, like how to handle emotions better. As I'm getting older, like the pain. That was the biggest thing that I've learned, and how like pain's so irrelevant. It's a feeling, just like every other feeling.
And when you're talking about pain, are you talking about the physical pain of cutting weight, or the psychological. There's
so many types of pain, but just every type of pain. You're feeling nervous, you feel anxious, like to do something, like you have to, like for me, I'm very introvert. So when I first started doing seminars, I was very, very uncomfortable to do seminars, like talking to a lot of people that I never met before. Like it was very hard for me. So I used to just pinch my arm, like uncomfortable, you know. But now I just, okay, I feel nervous or I have anxiety. I accept it. Okay, I have that. It's just there. It doesn't matter though.
You accept it.
Yeah, it's just sitting right here. You don't touch it. If I build it in my mind, oh, I have this feeling, I have this, then it paralyzes you. Yeah. Because you let it paralyze you. Yeah. You have control of letting emotion or a feeling paralyze you, or just let it be there. Yeah. You just let it sit there, you know. That's how I've learned to handle those stressful situations. And anytime my body or mind are going through a really hard endeavor, you know, that's what I've figured out.
You're able to remove yourself from
I'm able to remove myself.
Because it's stopping you from achieving your goal.
Yes.
That's a beautiful thing, Mike. I hope that people listen to this realize what amazing advice that is. Like, even for myself, I'm listening to you and like, man, I'm actually learning a lot here, man. Like, this is truly, man, like, because you're right. Like, you have to, because you can't change the world. You can't stop yourself from feeling. You're human.
You can't stop yourself.
You can't. You're gonna feel.
And the feelings are what life is about. You want those feelings, that nervous anxiety feeling. Like, my biggest fear in life is to live life on a flat line where you don't feel anything and you're just living where you're not doing anything. I want life to be like this because that's when you're living, you know? And that's why I love competing, because it's uncomfortable. That uncomfortable feeling, though, is what I love.
Yeah, you know,
he loves. See, like he loves uncomfort. Where most of us are desperately seeking comfort in everything we do.
That's what we love.
That's what makes you great, Mike. Is that you are chasing uncomfort and you're staring at fear and anxiety and pain and going, "Ha ha, bring it! I want more of it, and I'm going to grow from this." You know, and that's. I mean, that's all the ingredients that make this.
Well, stress is what makes us grow. You know, like we need those.
We need stress.
We need, like we talk about, we need problems. We need stress.
Anxiety and stress.
Exactly. Like, and most people said, oh, you know, like when they would ask me when I'm competing, how are you not scared or how are you not nervous? It's like, no.
You always remain nervous.
Everybody is scared. Everybody is nervous. You're supposed to be. If I would be more concerned if I wasn't. And I have been in a few occasions and I didn't perform well. Because if you're not nervous going into a competition, to me, that kind of says that you're not interested.
Care. You don't care.
You're not invested in the outcome. So you're fighting like a robot, which could work. But the guy who's really wants it, he's going to have more emotional energy than you. You know what I mean? So he's going to be able to put in more because he cares. He's invested.
I think that brings up two things with competing. One, the reason why we love competing, uncertainty. Yeah. If we knew for a fact we were going to win, would we care at all?
No. You wouldn't even go.
That's what everything in life is about. Anything that's uncertain, that's what we are seeking.
You've defeated something, you accomplished.
That's what we're seeking, anything uncertain.
Let me ask you this, Mikey. Do you feel that I've had moments, like I feel like I've never like the best athlete or anything. I had one thing I've always been, I'm very competitive. I've always been. As a child, I hate losing. Remember playing Monopoly as a child? If I lost, I'd flip the board. Like I just hate losing, right? I've always been that way. And I feel like there's a certain anger there that I managed to channel. A lot of times I'd be losing a fight. So I got a minute left. My coach yells at me. I'm losing. Dude, I'd go like ape shit. Like I'd lose it. You can see like I'm like panicking. The feeling I would have is of panic that I'm about to lose unless I sweep this guy. And I'd switch gears in a way. Like I've lost counts of how many times I've turned a match at the very end because of this, right? So I guess like it's a feel of almost like I'm asking you if you can actually channel some like anger, or are you ever angry when you fight? If there's everything, not angry as in like, angry at the fact that you're going to lose, not at anyone. Or are you always like very methodical, stoic, and like not very, are you unemotional during your match?
So, I'm usually very unemotional when I compete. The only match I was emotional was when I fought Bruno Malfacini. And it was just because the background of like how when I was younger with him, we trained with each other. And then how he retired last year. And I won light feather, he won rooster, and he told me, okay, Mikey, I'm retired now. That's why I was doing light feather, because I trained with him when I was younger. So out of respect for him, I went up to light feather, you know, because he helped me, and I didn't want to fight someone that helped me. Yeah. You know, I never lived at his gym, but he was like 3.5 hours from my house. So I would sometimes go and get private lessons from him and let him kill me when I was a blue belt, you know, like to train with Bruno Malfacini, insane. Yeah. So so I was like, Bruno, okay, you helped me when I was a kid. Out of respect for you, I'm gonna move up to light feather.
Yeah.
So I won light feather worlds. He won rooster worlds. He retired.
Yeah.
He won his 10th title. Yeah. So then in USADA, we're both sitting there hanging out, and he's like, okay, Mikey, I retired. That's it. I'm officially done. You could do rooster. So then I died for rooster. Then the week of worlds, he signs up for rooster after giving me his word that he wasn't gonna fight. You know. So for me, when somebody gives me their word, like word is like honor. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I was very upset at him
because you didn't want to fight him,
and I never wanted to fight him. You know. So I felt so bad fighting him. You know. And when we were fighting, it was very hard for me to stay emotionally into the match. I kept getting emotional, and I'm fortunate that I won, but that was really hard for me to stay composed emotionally.
I remember
in the match.
At the end of the fight there, you guys had like a little altercation. Like, what happened?
So I finished the fight, and if you watch the video, I don't celebrate at all. I don't raise my hand. I don't do anything. The first thing I do, because we haven't been talking. That morning before we fought, I went up to him and before I even fought him, he was gonna fight Kaio. I went up to him and shook his hand and said, "Ooh," and like good, just to break the ice out of respect for him, because I couldn't just remain angry at him. Yeah. You know, I wanted to be the bigger person and just shake his hand. So I went up and shook his hand that morning. So then when I finished the fight, the first thing I did, I didn't celebrate anything. I feel like we emotionally both let our emotions out on the mat. And we just settled it on, you know what I mean? I don't.
You guys had a war.
It was an insane match, and I'm actually grateful for him because he gave me the opportunity to fight a legend. You know, I would have never fought him if he didn't do that. So it made me grow as a person competing with him.
And at the end there, I don't remember.
I went to shake his hand.
He got mad at you at the end there. Yeah.
So I went to shake his hand, and he wouldn't shake my hand. So I'm just like what? What? And then I went to shake. He did this. And
it's like incredibly immature.
Oh my God.
And it's funny because there's a sticker on WhatsApp that is me like this and him like this. But how he did it was so perfect how he set it up. You know what I mean? Like he did it so smooth.
Oh my God.
But then immediately I was like, why did you do this? Yeah. Why? I didn't want to fight you. Yeah. That's all I kept saying to him. That's all I kept saying. Why did you do this? I didn't want to fight you. Like, you think I'm happy that I fought you? You think? And then that was the
I think that Bruno Malfacini might be the most successful competitor of all time.
I agree.
And I'll say why.
In the sense that he, I feel like he just so many years consistent.
12 world titles.
Consistent.
Buchecha's got 13 now. Is that right? 13 he's at?
I believe so.
Yeah, because he does 2 divisions,
so
which
he
is
just
still
double
amazing.
up each year.
But yeah, he's like competing in 2 divisions. So he's got, but like Bruno Malfacini has consistently been the best in the world up to now. He just lost for the first time.
And he even moved up the light feather and beat Guy Mendes. Remember that?
Yeah, and then for 12 years straight, man. That's incredible. Like
as a competitor, he's incredible, and like I learned a lot. Like when I trained with him, I didn't positionally learn so much, but I feel like a part of me learned from him like how to win. You know what I mean? Like just like how he was. You know, I feel like that rubbed off on me somehow.
Yeah. Well, and he's unusual too because he's a top player, which is not very. I mean, he does bottom too, but like he doesn't mind being on top, which is very unusual in your division.
And he's very explosive, like for like a small guy. You know, he's more like a middleweight, like how he has power. Like a lot of the small roosterweights, they don't have power because it's roosterweight. Everyone's dead. It's skinny. Yeah. He's like small and like explosive. You know, he has explosion power, so it's a little different history.
Interesting. Dave, what else? I think this guy's brain forever.
Yeah. I had a question for you. So, when you started training, when I started training, I was actually the smallest guy in my gym, which is kind of scary. My brother was. But then after my brother, we had a 240, a 250, 260. So I was used to getting squashed. You know, like that helped me early on because I lost the fear of fighting bigger guys because I've had 260+ pound guys squeezing the hell out of me, and you lose that claustrophobia. You know, so I'm wondering, you're significantly smaller than me. Have you had to go through that in your training?
So in Florida, when I used to train, everyone I trained with was usually middleweight, lightweight, or up, and I was like a lot smaller than I am now. So I was always the smallest guy, you know. Some trainings would be Durinho, Severio, AJ Souza. I don't know if you know AJ Souza. Yeah. And like 2 other middleweights, and I would just be sitting in the corner, like with all these big guys, and I would just be in the corner praying that I don't get injured.
Yeah, don't get injured.
I'll be in the corner praying before every training. So I completely understand what you mean.
Yeah.
You know, like it's hard training with those big guys, but it makes us tougher. I personally feel that if I'm training with big guys, I have to do physical therapy a lot just to support my joints. Yeah. You know, that's something that helped me a lot. Like living in Vegas is that I have more small guys to train with, so it's less impact on my body.
Yeah.
So I could study more positions and I could do more quantity of training.
And not only that, you're closer. I mean, it's
more to the competition.
Yeah, it's closer to the competition.
You know,
because like a guy like AJ Souza, Severio, Durinho, it's not, the game is not the same.
It's not the same.
I mean,
the jiu-jitsu is different in every category.
I always say
every category
it's a different sport almost. Mm-hmm. Every division is
and that's why I like competing different divisions. I feel like if you could compete in different divisions and make your game work in different divisions, that shows your level of jiu-jitsu. You know, like every division, the jiu-jitsu is a drop different. You know, like when you go to a different gym, every gym the guys play a certain guard, like a certain way.
Yeah, they have a style.
Every division, the style's different, just a little bit. You know, and that's why I got Leon
I love, exactly. Like when I started jiu-jitsu, believe it or not, I was a lightweight. I was not a big teenager. I've been gaining weight, and I'm 245 these days. But like, my game has changed dramatically. Like, I hate the fact that I'm a heavyweight now because I fly economy, and that sucks. But the other reason is like my game is like it gets uglier by the day. I feel like when I was like medium heavy middleweight, my jiu-jitsu was a lot prettier. I played guard, like the transitions were because you can move. But as you get heavy, it's harder and harder.
You're more sluggish.
Yeah, and like now I get to half guard, I do this, I'm like, oh, this is horrible jiu-jitsu, you know. But it's almost like you can't help it. Like I cannot move as fast as you. There's nothing I can do about it.
Your division's different.
My division's entirely different. I have to.
Whatever your body is, you have to train accordingly to your division.
Yeah.
And that brings back the point of like when competitors are training in the gym or so, like if let's say like there's heavyweights in a gym and the coach is like a very small guy. Like I feel like the coach has to cater toward everyone's division individually to the sense that everyone's division is different. How could, for example, I coach heavyweights and be like, okay, guys, we're all gonna do double pull today.
No, I know what I do now, and it's hard to do because
it's such a big class and everything.
You know all my problems, like, but I have this problem. So I have guys that go
finding a balance.
Yeah. So what I do is I do this all the time. I split the room in half. Guard pullers to my left. Takedown artists to my right.
Makes sense.
So when they drill, it makes no sense for an ultra heavyweight to drill berimbolos.
Yeah, no,
it's not going to pull it off.
There's no jiu-jitsu in that. Like,
exactly. It's
irrelevant to them.
Yeah, it's a stand-up match.
Or me to do wrestling.
I mean, like, exactly.
In Light Feather and Rooster, everyone butt scoots so fast.
Yeah, it's almost like pointless.
You could time a shot, like we could drill like timing shots, right? Yeah. Or like pulling first, like things like that. Yeah. But we can't drill straight standing like the dance, you know?
Yeah, there's no wrestling.
There's no dance in the light divisions.
They just jump right away, yeah.
And I know that when there's an exercise we do at the gym, there's a game that we play for guard puller. What we do is you win 3 ways. You win by timing the takedown, the guard pull, with a foot sweep or a double. You win by actually pulling guard, or by double guard pulling and coming up first.
To get the advantage.
So it's a game that trains all my lightweights, prepares them for the lightweight
divisions. That's so important, 100%.
Because that's half the match.
The start of the match is the most important part for the lightweights.
And this leads into my next topic with you, Mikey. Everyone knows, okay, you've got a beautiful mind. You are incredibly disciplined. Everyone knows, and I think everyone gets all these things from you just by watching you. But then there's another side to you that a lot of people don't know, and I've noticed by watching you compete. You're a highly, highly intelligent competitor. Just before we start filming the podcast, me and Mikey were talking ADCC rules, and he's giving me all the loopholes in ADCC rules. And he's got them all figured out. I'm like, you do this, do that. I'm like, so this is a very, very intelligent competitor. So tell us a little bit about that aspect of Mikey as a competitor, and how important is that?
So I always, like when I first started competing, like in black belt, and just in general, like I always felt like I was so nervous, and like, when you're nervous and your body feels frozen and you feel like you can't move. Yeah. So what I was able to figure out was if I was able to play a certain type of strategy, I have a backup for when I have that feeling. So it made me way more confident to compete because I felt like even if I don't feel good mentally, I could win every match because of strategy. And strategy is so fascinating to me because there's the rules, and it's beating someone in a thinking game, and that nobody really thinks about, you know. Yeah. And I feel like that aspect and element, every element of being a champion, there's so many different ones, right? And a lot of times you don't even need to play strategy, but I believe that it's so important to have that extra tool. So when your jiu-jitsu isn't working, you still win the fight, right? Yes. Let's say that you physically don't feel good, you're sick. You should be able to have a backup. Yeah. So that's how I viewed strategy. Like my first Worlds that I won the Worlds in 2017 when I beat Isaac, then Ari in the semis, then Juan in the finals. The one that we were talking about.
I remember that match well, yeah.
That Worlds, I was so nervous because I haven't won Worlds yet. Like I felt so hard, like mentally.
Because you won Brown the year before, right?
The year before, no, it was 2015.
So 2016, what happened?
2016, I lost to Isaac. That was my third tournament black belt. I was full time in school, so I wasn't able to compete a lot. I just needed more experience.
So you lost Isaac black belt.
First year.
And then the next year you won.
Yes.
Okay, so...
And they helped me so much losing the first year.
100%. I think it's almost like sometimes it's a good thing.
The best thing ever.
Yeah. But so to walk us through what is... Because you're talking about strategy. Give us a little bit of strategy. Because a lot of times people think strategy, they're not understanding what you're saying, Mike.
Okay, so I'll give an example.
Okay, preparing for João Miao that day. What's going through your head?
Well, my mind was horrible at that World. So... what was going through my mind before I fought Juan, I was just like, I can't wait to get this over with. Remember how we talked about when you're supposed to be in the fight, you're supposed, like in training, like earlier where we said, like when you go into training, you're supposed to be excited to be there. Yep. And like, you should feel like time isn't going, like, you should be like, oh man, the training's over. Not, I can't wait for this to be done.
Yeah.
My mindset was, I can't wait for this fight to be done.
Yeah.
You know, because I was in the finals. I just wanted to win Worlds so bad. And so I'll give one example of strategy. In my division, IBJJF added the rule of double pull, right? Where they give you an advantage. I mean that if you both are in double pull for 20 seconds, I believe, they stand you up and you both get penalties, right? Correct. A loophole in that rule is if you attack a submission, like an ankle lock or any type of submission, they cannot stand you up. So when you attack the ankle lock, this is how I used the ankle lock that year. Whenever I attack the ankle lock, it's a win-win for me because one, I have a submission, so they can't stand us up. And two, if the person comes up from double pull, I'm going to get an advantage for the ankle lock, and they're going to get an advantage for coming up. So now it's just like I pull guard regularly, but I even have control of their leg. So
that's heaven for a guard player.
It's a win-win.
Yeah.
So
now, I mean, they can't pass your guy. Who's going to pass your guard in your division?
That was a loophole in the rule that I was playing, and it's just small things like that, figuring out like how you could work around the rules in a way that the person is lost, and then you could use your jiu-jitsu at the same time because when they get frustrated, they open up. Right? It's very hard to make someone open up that is just. That's closed, right? That is fighting not to lose. I'll give an example of when two southpaws fight, right? Isn't it like a weird match because they're both not coming in? No, not southpaws, counterfighters, sorry.
Yeah.
When two counterfighters, it's a stalemate, right? So a lot of people in my division, they just don't fight. They both just wait for the other person to do something so then they can counter. Yeah. You know? So I feel like this style shuts that style off because if they don't counter you and they just stay there, you win.
Yeah.
You know? So that was a good example.
You're playing chess.
It's a chess game.
Yeah, and then you're trying to be 20 moves ahead, basically.
Exactly.
It's exactly what's going on.
And you're trying to make the person get frustrated where they stop they stop being on the defensive and they open up. Because when they open up, that's when I can use my jiu-jitsu.
Do you visualize these situations before a tournament?
For sure. I don't usually train doing this. Probably in the past I used to a lot more. Now I automatically do it. It's just natural for me subconsciously. I have like a tournament game and I just naturally do it. Like even my ankle lock, I never do my ankle lock in training. I don't like doing the ankle lock in training. I feel like I don't want to hurt anyone I'm training with and I just don't ever do it. I only do it the week of Worlds. you know. And then it's just a tournament game is so much different than a training game. And that's why you'll see guys in the gym that beat a lot of guys in the gym, right? That are amazing, but in tournaments they'll lose first match. Yeah. Because a tournament, jiu-jitsu and your jiu-jitsu in the gym, like your jiu-jitsu in general, are not the same, you know? And the best have the best jiu-jitsu in the gym, and they could apply their jiu-jitsu in the tournament where they could be both, you know? And I feel like that's where it gets interesting.
Yeah, you know, you bring a good point with strategy, because I talked about this before, Rob, but I've beaten a lot of great people just with strategy, not necessarily being more talented, stronger, or more athletic. It's just knowing the roles, knowing how to put people in vulnerable positions where you could win. And it's overlooked. A lot of people don't like to think, right? Like, especially when you're doing something like martial arts, like, they just want to focus on using their better jiu-jitsu, what they think it is. But sometimes it's very easy to negate somebody if you know how the rules work and how you can game them. So it's just showing another side of you that, again, very wise beyond your years. That
do you? Because I normally recommend that. When I lost that final to Roger Gracie, like, it taught me such an important lesson, because I got my butt kicked. I was killing people in the gym. I got destroyed. But it did something to me where I was like, man, I'm going to train from now on like I compete. I'm going to try to make this guy tap every single opportunity I get. So I started training. And it was a huge leap in my game, really, because I started, like, I'd raise the bar for myself when I was training. So I have to... The
goals. When you're training. I have to submit this guy 3 times. I have to...
Exactly. I would have a goal. Like, if it's a 10-minute round, I have to make him tap 10 times. So I have to make him tap once per minute. Like, that was, like, the goal in my head, right? If I just go in for the kill all the time, right, it made me very aggressive. And it really was a big leap in my game. But I wanted to prepare myself to compete in a certain way, and I felt that I had to train that. Because that aggression was a skill.
100% it's a skill.
It's a skill. Like, it's like people tell themselves, this is what they do. They go, oh, I will change when I compete. So they train in a certain way, and then they go in the...
And then when they go to compete, they can't do it.
They can't, because they haven't trained it. So they, I'll be aggressive when I compete. Like, no, you won't. Nope. You're going to compete exactly how you train.
The same as you're training, yep.
So do you train strategically? Because I used to do that with my training partners. I'd come up with game plans to beat my training partners. Not in a mean way, but, like, I'm trying to beat you.
So I'm a little crazy, like how you were, like, in training. And... I'll sometimes make goals in my mind. Okay, I have to do this position. I don't really make the goal of submitting the person, because I feel like sometimes when I'm going for submissions, it takes more time out of the role that I could be doing more positions. So sometimes I'll be training. I'll be like, okay, I have to take the back like 10 times. And I'll take the back, let the person replace. Then take the back again. Then let the person replace. Stuff like that.
So you're drilling
and
live,
then
basically.
I always just live drill. And then sometimes sometimes when I'm training, my mind starts like bothering me. So like I'll see the clock and it'll be 30 seconds left. It doesn't matter where I am, and I'll just say you're down by 2 in my mind.
Yeah.
And then I'll just go insane to make up the 2 points.
Yeah.
And just my mind sometimes just does that in the training,
because you're coming up with ways of challenging yourself.
Always.
Because normally, because you could have cruised that round. I'm gonna win.
We never, but that's how we don't like, you know, exactly. I understand 100%.
Yeah, so you have to, like, because I go, if I just do myself here, I'm gonna beat you. So you have to come up with little games in your head to, like, absolutely raise the bar. It's like 30 seconds left, I gotta tap this guy. I'm down by 10 points. And then in 30 seconds, you panic to try to make him tap.
Yeah, we try to do those drills all the time in training for our fighters and whatnot.
You see, we both do that automatically, right?
But it's so important.
But people can't. People don't, like, regular people. They don't think like that.
Do you think it has something
comes
to do
from us
with because you like uncomfort so much?
I think that I don't. Whenever I feel comfortable in training, I don't like the feeling. I have to feel at unease, and I have to get like that feeling of I have to do something. You know what I mean? That up.
Yeah. Feeling. Otherwise, you're not training. Right?
Yeah. Then it's not fun.
Yeah, because I think what happens with most people when they go to train, particularly if they're going to a very competitive gym, is they just want to survive, right? Like they're like, I just want to make it through, and they have like very low ambition goals, like I don't want to get tapped, or I don't want to get my guard passed, or like they're very like, to me, like I said, low ambition. Like your goal for training should be to crush the training.
It's not, but in my opinion, it's even deeper than that. We're not crushing. Like the goal isn't to crush the training. Like I'm not personally thinking of my training partner that I'm gonna crush. I'm thinking of using my jiu-jitsu that I'm gonna use when I compete.
You said jiu-jitsu like a Brazilian, by the way. Do you know
jiu-jitsu?
Jiu-jitsu. You totally picked that up from Brazilian.
Oh my god, I'm basically Brazilian now. But my goal is when I'm training, I'm thinking of the people I'm gonna fight, and I'm not training with the person that I'm when I'm training in the gym, I'm not fighting the person I'm training with.
Yeah.
I'm just using their body as the body of the person I'm going to fight.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I'm trying to use them to apply my jiu-jitsu to the people I'm going to fight. And so I'll be playing the game of the competition game that I'm going to use when I go to fight.
Yeah.
And even if that's not the best game for the guy I'm training with. Like, if, let's say, for example, I'm training and I know I'm going to be fighting someone that I should be playing De La Riva with. I'm not, even though the person I'm training with in the gym, I could beat him playing lasso. Yeah. I'm going to play De La Riva on that person.
Yeah.
Because when I fight, I'm going to be doing De La Riva.
Yes.
So
you're engaged in the competition. And your mind's in competition mode 24/7.
24/7.
You're not, we have a saying in my gym, it's called no make a friend. Because Hafi couldn't speak English when he started teaching. Every time he saw someone chatting or going easy, he'd be like, oh, no make a friend, no make a friend. Train jiu-jitsu, right? So it caught on everyone's like, but like I think a lot of people come to jiu-jitsu to make a friend. And then there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's a beautiful thing if you come to the gym just to have fun. It's fine. But clearly you're going to the gym with a competition mindset all the time. Like
I think only close to tournaments I'm more uptight like that, especially when I'm losing weight, so I'm angry. But I'm more in the gym. I'm usually I'm drilling and I'll be practicing a certain move, and then when I'm training, I'm using the people I'm training with to get reactions to the position I'm working. Yeah. So I could improve and update my position and see how they could give me a reaction that I didn't know.
You're creating your own hell.
Yes, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's, like I said, that's what I mean by like crushing it. It's like you're pushing yourself to try to get the most out of yourself in the training versus just trying to survive the training to get your SAE afterwards. And then you're trying to go.
That's what I mean. Like some people that train and their whole goal is not to get tapped. Yeah. Their whole goal is to survive.
I hate that.
But they want to compete. You
shouldn't even compete if you have that mindset.
No, what I'm saying is if they're not competitors, okay, whatever, it's a hobby. Yeah. But if you're a competitor and your whole goal is to survive at training and like give yourself a pat on the back that you didn't get tapped because you held on or whatever.
It blows my mind.
Are you gonna how are you gonna compete?
Yeah, I do. I know people they'll literally just like be content with not having their guards passed in practice, and that's it. My goal in life.
My mindset is I'm gonna do my jiu-jitsu. I'm gonna do it 100% when I'm training, and if I get my guard passed trying to do my A game for the tournament, perfect, because now I just learned something I'm doing wrong.
Yeah.
There's flaws. The more flaws we learn, the more mistakes we learn, the better, right? Because they're helping us get better. But if I'm going to play a game just to survive and hold on in training, how is that going to help me with my A game for when I fight?
It doesn't. But like that's what I'm saying. Like you may or may not realize this, Mikey, but you are constantly looking at. It's almost like an addiction for you to look at ways of challenging yourself, and that's
100%.
I think that is what makes you so great at what you do is that you're never ever comfortable. Like what can I do? You enjoy the challenge, right? You don't want the pat on the back. You don't want the comfort. Like you want to be. What's the next challenge to overcome?
So this year when I won Worlds, it was the weirdest thing ever because when I won, I had zero emotion.
Yeah.
I walked off the mat and I was just like, wow, I don't feel anything. It was the first time like I completely felt nothing. Yeah. And it was more, and all I was thinking about was the mistakes I made when I fought. When I fought Bruno and I got off the mat, the first thing me and Kaio said to each other, the first thing I said was, man, I suck. I got swept from butterfly guard. That's the first thing I said to Kaio. Yeah. After just fighting Bruno.
Because you're looking at your mistakes.
So that was just all that bothered me from Worlds.
It's funny. Like I think so many people, like when whatever they're doing, like they'll look at their competition. Let's just stick to competition. They'll go, look at all the amazing things. Look at that flying triangle I did. Look at that sweep. They're patting themselves on the back because that feels good.
They think of the positives.
Yeah, but like the thing, you just won a world title, and you walk off the mats, and you're upset because you got swept by Bruno Malfacini. That's the kind of mindset you need to do these because
you have to be insane.
Yes,
you have to be insane.
Yeah, but you're looking at the flaws. You're not looking at the good. You're looking at what do I need to fix to make this machine.
And you need people around you that aren't just cheerleaders that are going to tell you straight up, like, we have to fix this. People that aren't just you're amazing. Yeah. You're great.
If your coach is a yes man, he's not a good coach.
Exactly. You need the people around you to always be real with you. I think it's so important.
Like I know when we corner fighters and whatnot, whatever happens, win or lose, when they get in the backstage, we do the little compliment sandwich where we'll say, good job doing this. You need to work on this, because especially if they lost, they'll be very receptive to that lesson early in, because the pain of the loss is going to attach whatever you told them, what mistake was made.
It's funny because I always make the joke with my friends. I'm the worst person to talk to. Like whenever my friends fought and like they want to talk to me after losing, because
you tell them the truth.
I'd say the truth,
and they don't want to hear it. Yeah.
But like I'm not very empathetic in that way.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're the same way.
No, yeah, but you're not supposed. See, you're right. You're not wrong. They're wrong. I don't know if it's like, oh, but it's everyone. Everyone's wrong then. Because the best advice you can give your friend is like give him an earful why he lost. People can't handle it, man. They hate it. I lost friends.
But what is the biggest flaw in humans? What we said before, ego.
Yeah.
It's their ego that they have problems with. Whenever people lose, the regular person, not us. Whenever the regular person loses, in their mind they think of excuses why they lost, and they think of ways like that they got screwed or they just had a bad luck or something, and then they accept the loss in their mind. Yeah. Do we ever accept loss?
Yeah. No, you can't.
You can never accept loss. Every time I've lost a match, that's all that goes through my mind is why I lost a match.
Yeah. You accept it. Yeah.
I never say, oh, I just got stuck in this position. Why? Like it's ridiculous.
Yeah, you got stuck.
I made a mistake.
Yeah, you made a mistake to be.
If I'm losing a fight, I made a mistake. You know,
it's that simple.
And
it's funny because like I've made this mistake before. I've complained to refs before. Sometimes my students lose and I still complain to refs. But I think as a coach, it's a little bit different as a competitor. But I've literally lost.
There's some refs that really screw.
Yeah, no, 100%. But like, here's the thing: how many mistakes does the ref make during the match? 1, 2, 3. Bad ref, maybe 3 mistakes in the match. Let's say. How many have you made?
So many.
Thousands.
Why is the ref controlling your outcome of the match?
Exactly, like it's thousands of mistakes, but like everyone's focused on the referee's mistake, which you can't control, you know, and not your own mistake, which are entirely your responsibility.
So that one match that I lost, like I really got screwed that fight from the ref, and like about 4 or 5 bad calls in the fight, and I lost ref decision. It was a really I was really upset, but I had the wrong mindset, because I kept thinking how the refs are going to screw me, this and that. The next year when I fought, like after that when I won Worlds every year, I stopped caring what the refs did, because I was just focused on using my jiu-jitsu, and if my jiu-jitsu is how it should be, the refs giving me points, doing anything doesn't matter at all, right? Because they don't control the fight, I control the outcome. And I have to have that mindset. The refs, the crowd, doesn't matter what they're doing. The only thing that matters is myself. And that's why it's so important to, like, when I change that mindset, because I'm American, right? So I used to really believe, oh, you're fighting Brazilians, they're going to screw you, this and that. You know what I mean?
That's a theme. Like, tell me what you think, because I think it's a little crap. Like,
so,
I believe that, but
I felt the first year that I won Worlds 2017, I had some ridiculous calls, you know. Some ridiculous calls like that, they really went against the rules and they like screwed me. Yeah. Like, but I ended up winning that Worlds, even though they kept every match giving me crappy calls.
But do you think it has to do with them being, it's an honest mistake, or do you think it has to do with them being biased? Because
I think it has to be biased toward the big names. I don't think it has to do with what country you're from.
This is where I think the bias lies. This guy's my friend. I know him well.
And all humans have a natural flaw of bias.
Their friends.
There's 100%.
I don't think that. I think national. When it comes to national, I think IBJJF has more to gain by favoring Americans.
Of course, because publicity-wise, it's all Brazilians that dominate.
No, that, but like 90% of their income is Americans. Like financially, it makes more sense to them want a guy like Keenan to win. Mm-hmm. It does their organization better if they have an American world champion in every single division. I think they would benefit.
But IBJJF doesn't. IBJJF and the refs are separate, aren't they?
Well, IBJJF trains the refs, but the refs, I mean, they have their own personal biases. I am convinced there's no IBJJF bias.
No, 100% there's no IBJJF bias. I 100% agree with that.
There is.
I think it's personal bias. It has nothing to do with country. Yeah. I 100% believe it has nothing to do with country. I believe, though, it has to do with someone being not a big name. And they're fighting big names. They're going to always favor the big name. It has nothing that now thinking back, it's more of that. It has nothing to do with what country you're from.
Even in the UFC, like for example, if the champion goes to decision, it's a decision with like the challenger.
Yeah, the champion's going to win.
The champion always wins.
100%.
You know,
it's just that's my view on that. But like back then, I was really like I had that mindset like, oh, they're all out to screw me. Yeah. You know. But then when I stopped really caring about that and just thought about winning worlds in my jiu-jitsu and just the things I can control. Because I can't control what the ref does.
Yeah.
I can't control if he gives me points. I can't control any of that. What can I control, though? Dominating the person where they cannot do anything.
So where most people have a laser beam of energy that goes like this, you're doing this right here. You're narrowing everything, taking everything out of the equation, just focusing on like
just that one
on you.
element. Yep.
Yeah, and that's like a laser beam. Like that's
because Frank Curry, the guy what we were talking about before, he said something really interesting to me once, and it's so true. If I focus on the refs, I focus on the crowd, I focus on all these things, how much percent am I in the match? Yeah. I lost my 100% focus of a match by thinking of outside elements. Yeah. And so now I'm fighting at 60% of my mind that I should be 100. You know what I mean?
Invest 100%. Yeah.
We should be 100% invested in a match. Yeah. How could we be at 60, 50, thinking of all these,
expecting to win a world title,
and thinking of all these outside things that are completely irrelevant that we have no control of? You know, and that was my first Worlds. I was probably 40% in each match mentally.
Okay. Yeah, I had a similar, because I'm American myself, and I had the disadvantage that when I started, I didn't have a coach. So I was American in like 1998, 99, training by myself with my brother. So when I started doing grappling tournaments and stuff like that, and I was winning early matches, I had a lot of animosity towards me and my brother, because like, who are these guys? You know, like they don't even train Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. You know, they're just shoot fighters. I had one guy call me a black belt wrestler as an insult. They was trying to say, "Oh, you're just a black belt wrestler." I'm like, "Oh, okay." But when I started competing at ADCC, I remember I would lose some close calls, and I had the same thought process initially. Like, and none of these guys want to see me win because I'm essentially like a Ronin. I don't come from a big affiliation or this and that. And then I had a shift of thought. I'm like, you know what? I might be seeing some of this out there, but I'm also giving it strength by believing in it. All right. So I changed my thought process to say, you know what? People want to see me win now. All right. And more important, it was myself. Like, I want to see myself win, and everything in the universe is going to help me. And sure enough, when I competed, I remember it was against Cyborg. I won a ref decision against him. And I'm like, that's a lot, right? Because it's Cyborg, you know, and I was able to get a ref decision. How can I say there was bias against me, you know? And then I won a decision with Zanje, you know, like, how can I say there was bias against me? But like, it started happening when I started making that shift, where rather than think, or assign blame,
like
these people,
a laser beam. You're like
these people
are putting it all on yourself, like we said in the beginning.
Instead of thinking everything's trying to hurt me or take from me, no, everything's trying to help me now. You know, like, even if it wasn't, I just wanted to make that my belief, and it worked out. Like, I got a lot of calls. Like, the one with Cyborg was like coin toss, dude. Like, they could have given it to him, and it would have been, yeah, all right, you know, I could see it, true.
Yeah, I think the confirmation bias prevents a lot of people from seeing these situations. They only see what reinforces what they want to believe in, you know. But you're right. Like, from my experience, it's the same thing. I've been screwed plenty. I never felt I was being screwed for any personal reason. Or it was always like, yeah, he's just a dumbass, you know, he's just making a mistake.
I can only think of one match, which was a total screw job. It wasn't me, it was my brother. Yeah. He fought in this small promotion in Texas, and they definitely lost money running the tournament. Like, barely anybody showed up. And I guess the guy my brother was fighting for free in the super fight, where my brother was getting paid, I think it was like $500, right? So my brother took him down, passed his guard, almost armbarred him, and at the end, they gave it to the other guy.
How?
And it was like, how? And because they didn't score points. They had assigned aggressiveness.
Oh, there were no points.
There were no points.
Like fight to win style?
Yeah, but this was really shady.
Weird.
Yeah, and when they gave it, my brother flipped out. He did a Hickson, threw a water bottle at somebody. And I fought right afterwards. It was the one time I can remember fighting mad. Because my brother just got ripped out. And then I'm like, oh, okay, it's on there. I just destroyed the guy in front of me. But, yeah, other than that, I can't think of a blatant, like, screw job. You know, I think it's more like you're saying, you're just confirmation bias. You're seeing negativity, or you have some negativity in you,
to see it,
and then you could just, it's an easy outlet. You know?
Mike, you mentioned something a while ago, like when you compete, like being 60% versus 100 and shutting off everything else. I get the impression, speaking to you, like you're the kind of guy that you have this ability to shut off the outside world. Like if World War III were going on right now, and you're fighting Bruno Malfacini again.
You zoom into Bruno.
Okay, like it's like not 1% for the world catching on fire or whatever. It's like and I was gonna ask you, like, what is the importance of your social life, your personal life in your jiu-jitsu? Because I believe that if you have a balanced personal life, social life, everything from parents to girlfriend to friends,
it makes it so much better.
It's as important as your training, because unless you can, because here's the thing, if these things are messing with your head and they're interfering with your energy, it's like blaming the ref.
Yeah,
it's the same thing, because now you're thinking about all these problems you have. So how important is it to be balanced outside of jiu-jitsu?
All right, so I'm 23 now, and this is the first time I've had a girlfriend ever. So when I was coming up in like blue belt juvenile, I won the worlds, and my two close friends, they were like the same level as me, and they both won juvenile worlds also in Florida, both extremely high level. Both of them ended up getting girlfriends and quitting jiu-jitsu.
So you're like, this is.
So I watched before that, even my coach Shark. He would always tell me every day, never get married and never date girls. He told me this since I was like 10 years old for like 3 years straight every day. So then I wasn't training with him. So I was like, oh, okay, maybe it was just like, maybe he was a little crazy.
Yeah.
And then I saw that happen to my friends. Shark was right. So I never talked to girls. I never like focused on any of that. And then what I realized is what helped me stay balanced was school, because I wasn't ever able to just focus 100% on jiu-jitsu. Whenever I'm off from school and I would focus 100% on jiu-jitsu, it was like bad. Like I'm in bed thinking of positions. Yeah. I'm in the shower thinking of positions. Like every second my brain is just thinking of positions, but it's not healthy. Like your brain, you need other things to stimulate your brain for further improvement. Yeah. It actually stunts your growth when you have 100% in one thing.
For sure. I know, like, I went to school as an electrical engineer, and when you do study sessions, generally for me, like 2 to 4 hours was like a max amount of time where you need a break. Because if you stayed at the books for like 8 hours straight, it's just numbers and letters start floating around, and you don't really make any headway.
Detrimental.
It's detrimental. Yeah, like you need.
Your mind's got to rest a little bit.
Yeah, you need to take breaks. Like I've only pulled off once. I learned physics 2 in 1 week. I stayed in a library literally for a week.
Just for the final.
Just for the final, because I passed all my other finals, but I totally skipped that class because I remember it was like one of those classes that I only had one midterm and a final, and then I aced the midterm, so then like, oh, I don't have to show up to classes. And then it was finals, so I'm like, crap, I just missed like 4 months of school, So I got the book, and I literally read every single page, did every homework on the book 1 week straight, like spending about 12 hours a day in the library. But that was brutal, And it was.
It's not hell. It's not normal.
It's not normal, and I forgot everything right afterwards. It's like a sponge.
The short. I used to do that so much in school, like vocab tests. I would never study for the vocab test, and then like I would always like push it to see how close I could do it to the vocab test. It'd be like 5 minutes before, like 50 terms, memorize all 50 terms, take the test, get 100, but then have zero idea what I just put on the paper.
That was my physics 2 test, because I showed up, I'm like, okay, I know physics 2. And then I got to the test, and the first 15 minutes I just stared at the paper, and I was freaking out. I'm like, why am I drawing a blank? I don't know anything. I'm like, and I went through every homework, every problem on the test. I still don't know anything. I'm like, crap. I'm like, all right, calm down, relax, breathe. And then like 10 minutes of nothing, and then everything popped back into place. Yeah. And got it, I ended up getting 97, so like, but it was just like staying cool, like if I would have let the panic overcome me there, it was just.
You just have to accept the panic that is there.
Exactly. Just like you're saying before, all right, let it ride its wave.
I love that.
But
you go to school too, Mike. So you have like that. I think you find that balance. I always tell people, if you find a recipe that is winning, don't change that recipe.
And
like,
I feel like
something good going for you, man. Like
that's that's great. Like what you're talking about, because what I've noticed is every person that wins Black Belt Worlds, none of them train identically the same way, right?
True.
Everyone has to find their way to win Worlds, and then once they find how to win Worlds, it's so much easier because they know how, and they know how to train the correct way.
What are the commonalities though? Because there must be some overlapping. Like,
oh, for sure, there's overlapping.
The accountability, I think everyone would agree, is one. Don't blame the world, blame yourself. And
I think it has to do more on the terms of someone's jiu-jitsu, athleticism, and IQ level. Because if your game is so athletic based, like you need strength, you need to do a lot of conditioning, right? Someone that's game is super athletic based. Yeah. While mine is all thinking, right? So my training is just a lot of drilling, studying, and thinking. So I don't do any conditioning. Like the last, what year is it? 19? About over 3 years, no conditioning. So I don't need to do conditioning because my jiu-jitsu isn't based on athleticism or strength or power, you know? So I feel like it's understanding what type of jiu-jitsu you do in terms of how much strength you need for your game, athleticism. Because if someone's game is very athletic and they don't have a high IQ, it's better, they need to do conditioning, right? Because their game, they need to be in peak shape to do their game.
It's dependent on that too.
But there's nothing wrong with that because jiu-jitsu is built for everyone. Someone with lower IQ, someone with higher IQ, someone that's athletic, someone that's not athletic at all. You know, that's what's amazing about jiu-jitsu. There's not one size fits all. But once you figure out yourself and the specialty for yourself, like how your game and uniqueness of yourself and how your brain is, and you balance that all together, then and you're able to formulate that to make yourself able to win worlds and everything, then that's when the beauty happens, because then you know how you're going to keep improving. And you know the formula to improve.
Well, that's, Mikey, that's like a lot of, normally me and Dave would do these little like 20-second little sound bites, you know, we put on Instagram. I think you've given us so material today, man. Like, I've got plenty of food for thought myself. I think Dave feels the same way, I'm sure. Like, I know.
Yeah, I mean, like, I haven't really had a conversation with you before, Mikey, but like, very smart young man.
Thank you, sir.
Definitely somebody I'll be watching out for in the future, because you have a very good, like, I feel like you're at the mindset where I'm at now, but 15 years before.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, I got that wisdom. I think it was like after my career was over. You got it now, so good for you, man.
Yeah, man. So that is great. And I was gonna ask you, what are you studying in school, by the way?
Okay, so
I'm guessing something engineering related.
No.
Okay.
I just graduated my business degree.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So now I think I'm gonna go on. I want to go to law school, but I'm contemplating waiting to go to law school, like a little into the future, and to get my MBA first. You know. Nice. So that's my plan.
No, it's a good plan for sure. I think
because education, what they always say is knowledge is power. You know, and there's no reason why I shouldn't be able to train, compete, and as well as learn and study and learn different aspects of life.
Yeah, you can totally do it. I was studying in school, you know, full time, 15 credits. I had my own business, which I was running the martial arts gym, and I was competing all over, and I was 19 years old.
That's amazing.
And I was juggling all three at once, you know.
So
multitask, you know. But like some people, like I remember, like most people when they're in college, like they're partying and they're going out and they're drinking. I never did.
A waste of time.
Yeah, I was kind of like you know, like
I've still never been to one party.
Never.
No.
Yeah.
I went to one party in college, all those years.
Yeah, I never went to a college party. I was either training, I was either studying, or I was teaching at the gym. And I was doing that rotation. And I treated college like I treated training, which is I was there to beat everybody. And I was always gunning to be the top student of my class, you know, because I didn't want, if someone got a 95, that means I had to get higher than them.
It shows how jiu-jitsu you could apply to all aspects of life.
Absolutely. And that's, I think, what we talked about the other day, that's the most important aspect of it. You know, like all the moves that we do are nice, but like what's more meaningful is how you're able to extend that knowledge to other areas of life. Because when you start teaching it, most of your students are not competitors. I would say probably like 90% of them.
100%, yep.
Yeah, so what are they going to get from the experience being with you that's going to make their life change?
And even more on top of that, like as a coach like that runs a gym, like how you have the ability to change somebody's life. Like, that's so interesting, you know, like someone that has like a hard day of work, someone that's going through depression, like you have the ability to help them and to like make them happy and like have some enjoyment in their life. You know, I think that's like so interesting as a professor, like that you're able to do that.
It's the most meaningful thing you can do. Like, you know, we talk about like there's people who just recruit talent and then they want to take that talent to the next level. Whereas when you grab somebody from the, you know, who knows nothing, 2 left feet, and you make them capable of self-defense and giving confidence, it's so much of a bigger reward. You know what I mean? Like that person's life is forever changed, like you said, like in a positive way. And you just played a small role in getting him there. I mean, that's everything. You know?
And it has nothing to do with winning medals or anything. All people are the same. But you know, like a white belt and a black belt world champion are the same.
It's a social reward. You are actually doing something for the world. You're not going to get a pat on the back for it. You're not going to get a medal, but you can go to bed at night knowing that, you know, I made the world slightly better. I just improved on the world a little bit. And that, to me, that's I see this a lot. People
that's amazing.
No talent at all. They're never going to win a world title, but it is so rewarding to watch them grow as human beings and watch that kid that used to walk in the gym like this.
And start walking
like this, and all
and
of a
have
sudden,
confidence to talk to people.
Exactly, like he had, you know, his girlfriend, and then like he changes the way he talks to you, and now he like jokes with people. Before he was just like, so watching this change in people, to me,
it's incredible.
It is amazing.
And because we've all been through it, right? And that's the thing. Like I know, starting myself, I was shy, overweight. Like I was like 130 pounds in 3rd grade. You know, so
you were that kid.
I was that kid, you know, and getting bullied and stuff like that. So, you know, being able to take what my like wrestling coach brought me, and essentially I always say like wrestling made me a man. You know, like I learned the effort of hard work and the willpower to put myself into anything. So I'm just, you know, what do they call that when you're just passing along that goodwill? You know, like someone's giving it to me. Now I'm gonna make sure I could pass that same message to as many people as possible.
I don't can't think of a word for
because we had to figure out all the hardships ourselves, and what we could do to give back to others is teach people the lessons that we've learned.
Yes.
And from the mistakes that we made, right?
Absolutely.
I always say that in life, in Jiu Jitsu, I'm allowed to make as many mistakes as I want. That's life, right?
Yep.
But the rule is, I can only make that mistake one time. If you do not make, if you make the mistake more than once, then it's on you.
You can make the mistake, can't repeat it. Absolutely. Mikey, let me ask you this. I know your sister is also a world champion.
Yes.
First female American to win a world title. She's also not quite as successful as you, but like not too far behind either. She's always been. I know you guys train a lot together.
Yes.
I mean, she's probably your main training partner throughout your life.
Always, she's been.
I've seen you guys fight though.
We argue a lot.
Give me a little bit of that background. Like that's a really interesting relation. We'll probably have Tammy here at some point.
Yeah.
We'll have to talk to her as well. She just graduated law school, right?
Yeah, no, she's on her last year right now.
Last year law school, and she's a very bright girl as well. If you don't know her, she's a very, very successful current world champion. And but yeah, give us a little bit of that dynamic.
Okay, so since I was about 12 years old, we've been both training our whole life. She started at 6, I started at 4. And since until I was like 13-ish, she smashed me every training we did. Cause
At the time you were 13?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, smashed me.
She had
she was like...
the physical edge early on.
She was a lot bigger than me and stronger. But like, she used to bully me every training. Like, she would get mount, block both my arms, and slap me in the face. Like, every day.
Yeah.
You know? So, I always try to get revenge on her now when we train for all those years. But since I was younger, like we always trained with each other every day. I used to, when I was a brown belt, I was in high school and she was in high school too. I used to wake up at 4:30 a.m. and we had mats in our garage and we would drill every morning before I went to school. You know, so I always had her as a drilling partner and definitely on paper, she's submitted me the most out of anyone ever.
I'll probably stay that way.
And then what was amazing about Tammy is that she's in law school, right? And she literally had her finals the week before Worlds this year. She barely was training for Worlds at all.
Wow.
So she finished her finals. I honestly didn't even know she was competing until like 2 weeks before. Yeah. And then she finished her finals. She's like, let me just see how I feel after finals. So she finished her finals, and then she went in and fought at Black Belt Worlds. And a lot of people, they make excuses about not winning Worlds. Oh, I'm working full time. Oh, I'm in school. They just look for reasons that they can't win.
Justify.
And people don't like people that could succeed when they have those obstacles.
Yeah.
People like the people that win that just live on the mats.
Yeah.
Why do they like the people that live on the mats? Because that's their excuse
that's
that they don't
why you
win.
win.
Oh,
that's why you win. Yeah.
So
they're justifying their losses.
So
yeah.
I see my sister as huge motivation for myself. You know how hard she works. She's always been my role model. You know, like her hard work, her discipline, and I've always looked up to her so much. And it shows me, and it should show everyone else, not to think that mindset, and to show you that she literally was training like twice a week, like in school every day, dying, and she didn't won black belt worlds.
That's incredible.
You know, like so for me, that's a huge inspiration.
Yeah. Well, Mikey, like this is it's been enormous pleasure talking. You got anything else you want to ask him? Like,
you have anything you'd
like
to plug?
so much out of this. I feel like I got oh man, this is very interesting. You look at that way, and I've been looking forward to this for a while because I've known it for so long, but we always talk briefly. You know, it's the first time I actually get to pick your brain.
I think sometimes when I do like interviews and stuff, like I'm uncomfortable because I'm very introvert. So it's hard for me to open up sometimes. But because I know you and we're friends, I feel like this interview is way better because I'm talking to you like I was just talking like in the house, right?
Yeah.
Like just normal.
Forget there's a camera.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I think that I was able to say more of my feelings and stuff that usually I wouldn't be able to say because of that. Well, I think it was super cool.
Thank you. I'm sure they appreciate it because this has been incredible.
No, it's been very insightful and it's great to hear it. And I think if again you're the future of martial arts, we're in a good place, right? You're the type of person I want as an ambassador.
I was just going to say that.
Thank you.
Exact same. Like, don't change, because we need more people like you, Mikey. BJJ is going on a very weird route, and I always say this, and I want to reinforce this. Yeah, we have to reinforce the good. This is the good.
Yeah.
You know, and this is what you have to aspire to be like because, you know, you are a role model to a lot of people. People look up to you. Whether you realize it or not, there's a 12-year-old kid out there. Maybe you'll be the next guy to beat you. He's 12 now, and you know what I'm saying?
He's showing a stuffed animal.
Yeah, exactly. He's showing a stuffed animal. He's out for your head, but like that guy looks up to you, Mikey, and that guy wants to be you. So, you know, continue to be this amazing person you are.
Thank you so much.
And I will say this, I'm not really blowing smoke up your butt or anything, man. I think you're the best American grappler of all time.
Thank you.
And you're on your way to be one of the best grapplers in history if you keep doing what you're doing because you have every single, I'm looking at the ingredients. When I'm looking at this, what is missing? You have everything. Don't change.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you so much.
For sure, man. It's a pleasure to have you on here.
I didn't tell you. You have anything you would like to promote?
No, just like what Professor Dreista was saying, I view Jiu-Jitsu as one aspect of life, right? And being a black belt world champion in Jiu-Jitsu, we have to strive to be a black belt world champion in every aspect of life, right? So that's how we should live, right? We shouldn't be just to win a medal and then in other aspects of life be so shitty.
Yeah.
You know, so I feel like that's so important, and I hope that my career in Jiu-Jitsu could people could see, and I could maybe change the scope of how people are doing things, and not just to look for money, talking crap on the internet. You know, to me, it's embarrassing. You know, because Jiu-Jitsu is supposed to be a classy sport. It isn't supposed to be low class like that. You know, and martial arts teaches respect and values.
Yes.
You know, so even if you don't learn those values and respect in your house, you should be learning it in the gym.
Yeah.
You know, and without that respect and values, what are we?
Exactly.
Thank you.
Well said. Well,
we ended on that note. What are we without those values? Thank you, Mikey. Thank you for being you. And I want to do this again at some point. You know, I'd like to have you back. Talk to your sister, have your sister at some point as well. And it was a pleasure. I hope you guys enjoyed. And off to the next one. Thank you guys.
It was